This burns! Quick, get in the shade!
Welcome back to Rayman 3. Now this is the desert of the Knaaren, and this is easily one of the most, if not perhaps the most memorable level in the entire game. This is that part that becomes deeply ingrained into your memory if you play this game as a kid. Although, to be fair, we're not talking about the entire level, we're only talking about 2/3 of it, about one long section.
Will you grant me one final request? Find me some plum juice, please!
Somehow I have a feeling that this voice clip was either was shorter or it played earlier in the French original version. Because that one was way too long. He was speaking, Andre was speaking as Globox was already drinking. Now, before we get into the tunnels, which is the section of the game, of the level that everybody remembers, first we have to do this a bit extended, a bit long platforming section, which involves getting up. And excuse me as I completely fail to see the way forward, even though it's quite literally just forward. Now this little bridge, I think it's a bridge, it's completely unnecessary. There's nothing here apart from these gems and that one Hoodlum, but I decided to stop by because, well, reasons. Now the goal here is to free that teensy, that cage that you could hear, which is different from most of the others in that the teensy inside is actually somewhat enthusiastic, unlike most of his brethren. And now prepare to witness the most inefficient way to collect gems imaginable. What was going through my head when I did this, we shall never know. By the way, there will be a lot of shock rocket puzzles here. Well, I'm not sure if you can call it a puzzle, but a lot of these kinds of uses for the rocket.
Hey, Big Nose! If you want to cross the desert, you need to use the tunnels.
But it won't be easy. The tunnels are swarming with Knaaren, and those beasts are invincible.
Yeah, well, you got a better idea?
You bet your bet $1 I do.
Okay, listen closely, Big Nose. Do not let the Knaaren get near you. You understand? Never! If they get their claws on you, you're dead. Well, it was a nice knowing ya!
Well, they are not kidding. But first, we want to get down to the tunnels. And the tunnels are right behind this door, but first... Yeah, you're not afraid of me, I get it. First I'm curious, I want to see what's on this platform. Answer, there's nothing here, so now I will cut back to me getting back up. Yeah, nothing.
Ah! Let me go.
Stick bamboo under his nails.
This is an E-rated game, by the way.
Spit in his eye. Skin him. write bad checks.
Okay, now that's just too much. Now you get it. Now you get what's coming to you. So,
Get him.
this section is probably memorable not only because you have to run from the Knaaren, obviously, but also because
I have to give Grandpa his sponge bath.
Skin him.
but also because you get a very serious change of pace here, because most of the game is a non-stop sequence of combat sections and of platforming sections, whereas here you have one...
His bones.
Ew. Here you have a long sequence of what are essentially, well, kind of a puzzles, but different kind of puzzles, because here you want to...
Better with salt.
Yeah, E-rated game. I completely lost my train of thought, I'm sorry. Zombie chickens are back from Rayman 2, and here they are a lot more irritating than in Rayman 2, and I'm honestly not sure why. Because they were non-threats and they still are non-threats, but they are irritating. So the Knaaren are the enemies here that you run from, and basically every single encounter with them is a bit of a puzzle where you figure out the correct path. Ah, that's what I was trying to say, they are pathfinding puzzles. And you hit the gong to attract their attention, as you have probably figured out by now. And the Knaaren are indestructible, there's no way to damage them, but...
Spit in his
Little grasshopper, one must never let the Knaarens get near you. Capiche? Never.
But their IQ is roughly equivalent to that of a steak. And as such, they are quite easy to
let him run.
circumvent.
Eat better with salt.
And now you heard that clip in its entirety, so I don't have to subtitle it. Yes! By the way, these puzzles, these little puzzles where you have to take an egg and later different other kinds of objects and put them on a switch, this level is where they are introduced to us, and they will become quite prevalent in the later sections. And then they will disappear again in the very end game again. Yeah, this is why the zombie chickens are irritating. And the problem is they respawn indefinitely and infinitely, so... yeah. It would have been more if the green gem was not the first gem I picked up in that little side room.
Rayman, Rayman, I'm over here! Come and get me! Oh! Ow, ow, ow,
Skin him.
This was a showcase of me attacking rats.
Skin him.
And yes, we are at the point where the voice clips of these Knaaren, they are on repeat.
Spit in his eye.
And as you can see, their
Tear off his flesh.
meal of choice is apparently teensies. Or maybe their culture is centered around hunting teensies, I don't know. By the way, this statue of a giant bird thing in the center, this is actually the Knaaren god Leptis. This is not a random bit of trivia, this is actually a plot point in the game. Unlike the majority of the... yeah, this happened. Unlike the majority of the character names in this game and in the entire... and in all Rayman games really, which are existent but inconsequential to the point of being only present in extra material, in promotional materials, in manuals, in wikis, etc, etc, but not in the game itself. Here it's actually relevant, but it will not become clear why until about 20 minutes later. Now what I'm doing here is optional. The game encourages exploring, and even though unfortunately the primary method is by giving you a score, but still.
I gotta go shave my glutes.
This is a double entendre, by the way. There is what everybody here thought, including me for the first moment, but glutes are not just the muscles in the upper part of the leg, but also the a type of bird in this universe, or rather just in Rayman 3. And the Globox really hates them, by the way. And now I'm going to go all the way back up to get that Vortex power-up again, in order to be able to maximize my score, even though I promised I would not do that, and in hindsight, I should have cut this long journey up out.
Spit in his eye.
I'm thinking about the way the Knaaren work here, and I just realized that they're actually portable walking. They're the walking mobile equivalent of deadly waters, because much like, well, deadly water, you are given 3 chances if you get damaged, and on the 3rd hit you die. And yes, the damage that you receive from the hit, it increases exponentially with each hit. Yeah, context. There are no long and short vowels in Russian, so I sometimes struggle, even though it's all kind of intuitive. I still sometimes fuck it up.
My armpits.
What is it with the teensies giving us way too much information? This kind of information must be strictly on a need-to-know basis. What the actual hell? Ah!
Hey, does anybody have any cough, sir?
Now we're getting to the part of the tunnels where I'm a bit afraid to speak all the time, because you will, from this point on, often hear background dialogue, background voiceover from random Knaaren, like that one in the beginning of this section. And the problem is, I don't remember exactly where each of these voice clips is, and I really want everyone to hear them, because they're actually quite amusing. And this is how fall damage works. I'm pretty sure this is the first time I managed to get it on camera.
Stick bamboo under his nails. Hey, guys! I mean, don't you feel guilty about ganging up on a guy when he's all alone? No. Why? Do you? No, of course not! What was I thinking? Spit in his eye.
This bit is something that I hate because it's very, very misleading.
Brain. Fresh brain. Let him run. Meat better with salt.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we heard all the voice clips that they have. Ah, this part. This is my lowest point because I get completely and utterly lost. I need the lockjaw power and I can't find it. It's not here, it's back in the previous room. And this Matu is annoying me, it's frustrating me because it's clearly in my field of view, but it's not triggered. You have to be under it instead. Yeah, nothing happens.
Phew.
By this point I already realized that I need to go back and get the lockjaw power, but I was annoyed and I wanted to get everything in here because it's bugging me.
Brain. Fresh brain. Phew.
Yeah, and this is what you do. Finally, took me like a minute, I think. And yeah, as I said, the pit is misleading because it's there for no purpose other than to just confuse you and get you off your path. By the way, one other thing that I never mentioned about the Knaaren and the shock rocket puzzles is that whenever your rocket flies near a Knaaren, you want to stay. When you control a rocket, you want to stay away from the Knaaren as far as possible because masochist. Because the rocket, if it's near enough, it will simply lock onto the Knaaren and you will waste a rocket and you'll have to fire it again. And it will happen once a little bit later. Now this is actually a neat little room, or a neat large room, because you can explore it.
Spit in his eye.
Yeah, the Knaaren like to eat teensies. You can explore it, but the unfortunate part is that the only reward you get is a few gems. That was the way forward. First, I want to break the cage. To break the cage, I need to get all the way over there and get that throttle copter power up and fail to use it appropriately and have to try again. Anytime now. This is irritating. This is taking longer than it should. Much longer.
I have to go replace my hard drive.
Okay, now that was astonishingly normal. It was almost disturbingly normal, I would say. Yeah, there's nothing here.
Crush his bones.
And yes, they have an IQ of meat.
Tear off his flesh.
I have to go tickle my hamster.
Well, some of these phrases that are given to these caged teensies, some of them are amusing and creative, some of them, like that one about tickling hamster, was kind of meh. I hear a motivu, I do not see it, I do not find it, I apologize.
My dad is stronger than your dad. No way. My dad's stronger than your dad. I heard his friend say that he can even pick up a door.
All 537 of Arona's fan letters.
Would you guys please stop talking about your dads? Make it right, Bad Jets.
Help! Little grasshopper, hit the gongs. It will attract the Knaarens.
God damn it. God damn it. And all because I was a little bit impatient. God damn it.
Help! Help! Help!
Now we are about to get to that shock rocket up there on the next level. And, well, that's when you will hear... I mean, not hear, I mean, that's when you will see why it's sometimes annoying when Knaaren are involved.
Help! Help! I gotta go check my roof.
That's why. However, somehow I managed to get away with it.
I need to go regalvanize my tires.
Regalvanize your tires? Wow. Why do you need those even? So this is where we're done with most of the tunnels, although not entirety, but there's still one little section and a boss fight left. And I will cut it off here. So thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.